Okay, before we start, we already have Cash and Matt on the call, so we're very excited. But first, I'm gonna do a few little announcements. So if you could say like also, is this your first, second, 10th, 30th? This is my 70th event today. So if you could let us know what number event for the TNN community this is, that would be amazing. We love to see people come back, and we also love to see new, fresh faces. So I'm just going to share a few announcements. All right. Can everyone see my screen? Yeah? Okay, wonderful. Okay, so I'm Erica Vervo, and I help Nomadic Matt run his community. So this is an in-person community that connects travelers to other travelers and ideas and resources that can have them travel cheaper, better, longer, and more. And we started this at the end of last year. We kicked off with 22 chapters around the country and around the world. But then COVID struck and we turned to virtual events. And like I just said, we've had 70 since the coronavirus, and that's all virtual events, including a guest speaker. We've actually had about 25 virtual events that are just like community gatherings. We had one for Portland last night. We're having one for DC and one for California tonight. So all in all, we've done almost 100 events in the last 7 months. And so what we love about these events is that we can bring you experts and travelers from all over the world to speak about what they're passionate about. So Kash is here. He's been traveling all over Europe. We're excited. He's in Europe right now. Matt is in Texas right now. I'm in New York, and I cannot see the chat, but I'm sure you guys are all over calling in. And so that is the beauty of these virtual events. Just a few things to keep in mind. Feel free to turn your camera on. We love to see your face. This is a community event, and we do wish we were all together. So if you can turn on your camera, great. You will be muted though. There will be a lot of people in this event today, so we can't have everyone making noise. Matt's going to do a Q&A with Kash first, but there's also going to be a Q&A at the end. So feel free to type in your questions in the Zoom chat. So just if you could label it question, it would make it a lot easier for me to find those. And so I could actually ask them to Kash at the end. Also feel free to use the chat to share your relevant experiences and connect with people. I mean, this is, like I said, a community event. So this is all about bringing people together, and lots of people have made friends, surprisingly, in these Zoom chats. So feel free to do that. This replay, along with all the other replays, are available for our Patreon members at patreon.com/nomadicmat. It takes about a week for these to go up, but they will be there. And then I just wanted to say, we really built this community so we could learn from each other, satiate your wanderlust, especially during this pandemic, and have fun. So that's the whole point of this. And I just wanted to remind you that all of our speakers are doing this out of the kindness of their heart and the passion they have for sharing the knowledge they're going to be sharing with us. So I wanted to say that so we can be reminded that we're like very grateful for our speakers. We're very happy Kash is here. And we are just really excited for this all to happen. Last announcement is I wanted to invite you to our exclusive Nomadic Matt Patreon community. Patreon is a way that you could help support us, and at the same time, you could get amazing benefits. One of them that people just love is the TNN replays, because you can't always make these. I know this is noon in New York right now, so a lot of people are working. And so you could do that, but also you have access to Nomadic Matt's guides, books, free t-shirts, and if you go up in the different levels, because there is a monthly fee attached, you could get all the way up to free tickets to TravelCon. So it's a really cool community. Matt posts a lot in there, a lot of personal stories, a lot of things that don't make it to the blog. So it's a really cool opportunity. And if you find these events valuable and you just want to donate to us, we are more than willing to accept that, and we'd be forever grateful. For a one-time donation, you could do that through PayPal. and that's matt@nomadicmatt.com. You can use that name to donate to us. Without further ado, I would love to stop sharing my screen so that I can introduce I'm going to let Kash introduce himself because I feel like this guy is super dynamic. I've known him for years. I believe we met at the very first event I ever went to, I think, right? In Greece?
Oh, wow. T-Bex Athens. That was,
T-Bex Athens.
yeah, that was 2015. That was 5 years ago now, I think.
No, I think it was 2013. It was the first event I ever went to with Nomadic Matt. It was a long time ago. Anyway, Kash is the hosteling king. Kash is going all over Europe right now, so we're excited to hear about that. And Kash is also involved in a really cool project called Adopt a Hostel. So I'll let you do the rest of the introduction yourself. But he's got a few videos and photos before Matt goes into his Q&A with him. So go ahead, Kash, take it away.
Thank you very much, Erica. Greetings to you all. I can't see all of your faces. You can see some of them. Greetings from Berlin. I can turn my screen around. It is just turned 6 p.m. It's getting dark here in Berlin. It's autumn. It's been a sunny day here, 18 degrees. And I have just been traveling around Europe for the last 2 to 3 months. There's my backpack. You can see a couple of backpacks there. I just arrived in Berlin today, and yeah, crazy time to be traveling Europe at the moment. As you've heard all the stories, it's pretty difficult at the moment with the rise in infections with COVID. Germany was one of the safest destinations to travel this summer, and I'm lucky to call Berlin home for the last 4 years now. But I lived in Scotland, bonny, sunny Scotland before, not so sunny Scotland. And for those of you who don't know me, I should say my name is Kash, with a K, not with a C. And I've been blogging now for 11 years at The Budget Traveler, which is a blog about how to travel in style on a budget. So just like Matt, I am very, very passionate about being as creative as possible with your money to travel and see as much of the world as possible. And I have a great passion for hostels, which I'm going to be talking more about with Matt. And I have a book about them called The Grand Hostels, which I'll tell you later. But today I wanted to tell you a little bit about my roller coaster summer, because it has been a summer like no other in terms of travel. It's been very, very rewarding and also very difficult. And I wanted to give you a few insights over what my summer looked like. So I will start off. What do you think, Erica? Shall I start off with the video to kick off with? So hands up, show of hands in the chat for people who love Germany. Any people who love Germany here? I'm going to show you a video of a trip I did in Munich, which I guess some of you guys love Munich. You've probably been to Munich maybe for Oktoberfest. So there's lots of beer, there's lots of beautiful gardens, and there's Berlin, which is my home. So I'm going to share with you the screen, and hopefully this is going to work. I am an absolute technophobe, but I'm going to enlarge the screen, and hopefully you can see this. So that is a little snapshot of my trip in Munich and Berlin, and what we did in the trip. As you see, everywhere in Germany, you have to register yourself, QR codes, wearing masks until you sit down at your table, lots of safety and precautions taken. So people are social distancing. And as you can see, particularly if you come to Germany, if any of you guys have been to Germany, there's lots of beautiful outdoor parks and spaces and beer gardens where you can naturally socially distance and you can have your own space. So it's really, really great in that sense. Germany is really on top of it in terms of being safe and having a fun experience. In Tempelhofer Field, I don't know if you guys saw that, there's an abandoned airfield in Berlin where you can cycle and it's completely free and it doesn't cost a penny. Where I was boating, canoeing, that's just half an hour outside Berlin, which not many people know, that because people always think Berlin, nightlife, clubbing, food, gastronomy, but it has all this amazing green spaces around Berlin. So hopefully through that video, you get a little idea of what you could do in Germany. I also was in Prague. I understand there are a couple of Prague lovers here. I know Matt's a big Prague lover and Erica too, and Erica's nodding her head. I have if we have time, another cheeky video, 1 minute video of Prague. What do you say, guys? Is everybody game for that? Okay, let's show you Prague. So when we went to Prague in June, when Prague was basically empty. There was nobody, there was no people in Prague. I'm going to minimize this screen and I'm going to switch over here. So when we went in Prague, Prague was just, there was no tourists, and Prague had just opened again for tourism. So the Prague that we see here was amazing. It was perfect. And then it went downhill. We'll talk about that later. So here you go. This is called Prague with Locals, and here is a minute of Prague loveliness. A little cheeky snapshot of Prague, and that hopefully gives you a nice idea. So those are two videos I wanted to share with you. I have a ton of photographs to share, but I don't know if we'll have time for that, but maybe later. What do you say, Erica? But I can show them later, maybe. What do you say? Okay, so I'm going to stop the share and then I'm going to return back. So I don't know. I think it's better Matt jumps in now and asks me some questions and we can get this party moving further. What do you say, Matt?
Well, Kash, it's always a party with you. You do know how to party. I'm jealous you got to experience Prague without hordes and hordes of people. When I first went to Prague in 2006, I mean, it was pretty crowded then, but nothing like it is today, you know. Even then I thought it was kind of like Charles Bridge was crowded, but you go during peak summer season, pre-COVID, and like, it's just
Yeah.
wall to wall people.
I have one, actually, I'll tell you what, there's one picture. If there's one picture I will share, let me jump into my pictures. And I just want to share this one picture with everybody here. Can you see it?
That,
So that is basically the Old Town Square at 7:30 p.m. on June the 22nd this year. And there are 5, 6, 8 people in that square. And how many times have you seen that square packed?
all the time.
It's just, it was surreal for me. I don't know. I thought I would enjoy it, but I felt kind of sad. It felt kind of empty and yeah, it felt a bit. It felt sad, to be honest. So yeah, I wanted to share that picture, but to give everybody an idea what Prague was like.
Well, we'll talk a little bit. Ooh, I just covered myself in pen. That's cool. So we'll talk a little bit about traveling Europe. So, I mean, because you started in the summer, right? So, you know, as Europe approaches their second wave, like you did it before all this madness happened. So when you started traveling, were there a lot of other Europeans traveling, or were people still inside? Obviously, as someone who's a travel, you know, professional, you're going to be out quicker than others. But, you know, and follow-up question to that, as you went through the summer, did the crowds increase?
So yeah, as you said it, you nailed it, hit it on the nail there, that as a travel professional, as it's my job and your job to travel and to share people what the first-hand experience of what travel looks like in Europe. So I was one of probably the first people to travel. And yeah, I had a few people raise their eyebrows, a few people question whether I was being responsible in talking about tourism when there was still a pandemic going on. And it's something that it weighed heavily on my brain, because I love what I do, and my whole message of my life, and I think it's the same objective we both have, is to make people travel better and safer. And people need facts, people need information. And the biggest problem I found was there was a serious lack of information out there, and we were already in June when the lockdown was lifting in Europe. So I said, okay, I got to get out there, and I know some people wouldn't agree whether it was a good time to travel or not, but I had to see it with my own eyes. And it was safe, it was fine, it was I'll tell you what, one more picture for the crowd to give you an idea of what it looked like. So I was hopping on that train to Prague, and I'll show you a picture of what my train carriage looked like. I should have it.
Yep, scroll down. Just saw it.
Did I miss it? As you can see all the pictures there. I had an empty, but basically.
No, I saw it. Wait,
anyways.
It was there. I saw it.
You saw it?
Yeah. You scrolled by too fast.
You see, I need my glasses. I'm getting blind with my old age. There you go.
Yeah.
You see, you got better eyes than me. Look at that. That's a picture of our train carriage to Prague from Berlin. Empty. So yeah, as you said it, as the summer dragged on, the crowds started coming back. I went back to Prague in August, and it was mobbed. And it was kind of scary because people were walking around, nobody was wearing masks. Everybody had seemed to have forgotten that there was a pandemic still going on, and it didn't feel very safe. So I kind of avoided completely the historic town, and I stayed in Žižkov or Letna, which are kind of like Prague 7, Prague 8, Prague 5. I felt a little bit more safer there, more with locals. But things were slowly getting out of control.
Mm-hmm. Were the regulations sort of the same? Because you went to Prague, I saw you were in Italy for a bit, or was it like? Because I think a lot of people want to know, at least from my conversations with folks and me, like, how variable is it from country to country? Like, I know Germany is, it's pretty strict. But
The biggest problem with travel in Europe at the moment is that there's a lack of common strategy about how you should travel during COVID. So in Italy at the moment, I was in Verona last week and in Bologna, and you have to wear your mask everywhere in public, which is a common sense, I think, a small sacrifice to pay for the gift of travel. You get used to it. It seems like a bother in the beginning, but to move around freely, it really is not much. But in Germany at the moment, you have to wear a mask in public transportation, indoors. In my co-working space, every time I get up, I have to wear this mask. But in public, outdoors, people still don't wear masks. So it's very confusing as somebody coming from the States. It would be very confusing. Each country has its own regulations, and you constantly have to monitor online because it's changing every day by the hour sometimes, especially at this point with the rise in infections. So it's very...
Like the States, every state has its own regulations. So,
And that is the biggest thing that's drawing us back, is that if all of us, if Europe had a common strategy towards tackling coronavirus and some basic key rules, things would be so much better, but it's not. But Italy was safe. I felt very safe in Germany. Czech Republic initially was taking it very seriously, and then they let their guard down in the summer, and I could see things were getting bad. Austria was a mixed picture. I felt safe in some places, but in Vienna, I didn't feel safe in some places.
So as I don't want to drone on and on about the past and COVID, since we're all tired of it all, but I do want to talk about how the future and Europe travel and the future of Europe travel during a COVID, post-COVID world, since you've been recently traveling around there, talking to others in the travel industry. You've been to hostels, you've been to hotels. What's the sense of folks in the industry thinking about how travel in Europe will look when it opens back up again?
It's a $1 billion question, Matt. If anybody can predict what travel will look like, and nobody in the industry knows what's going to happen next week. I think what I would definitely say is that.
But are they going to, do they have, I want to talk about these hostel passes that we talked about before, but here there's a lot of talk about sustainability moving forward and redoing tourism from scratch. And so, I just read recently that Venice, has all these plans. And as someone who's just on the ground there.
Okay, I got you. Okay, so yes. Travel will be more local and more sustainable in the sense that people are going to be traveling more and more locally. And there's one trend that COVID has been, I think one of the positive things out of COVID is that we've rediscovered our own surroundings better, that we realize that adventures is sometimes a state of mind. Sometimes all you need to do is dust your backpack off and walk out of the door, and you'll find adventure on your doorstep. And you don't necessarily need to jump across the Atlantic to come to Europe to find adventure. But the trend in Europe is at the moment is that people are more and more spending time discovering, like I live in Berlin, and around us we have Brandenburg and all these lakes. We have about 30, 40 beautiful lakes and forests. So more and more people have been traveling locally. And especially in Germany, more and more people have not been going on holiday to Italy or across the border. They've chosen to spend time in Germany and rediscover their country. So that's one of the good things I think that's come out of COVID. In terms of choice, unfortunately, there's a lot of small businesses that are struggling in the industry at the moment, and some of them have closed down. Hostels, which is a common passion that both you and me have suffered incredibly bad during the crisis, with not much support from the government. So a lot of hostels I know a few have closed down, sadly. A few of my favorite hostels in Spain sadly closed down recently. Not a week goes by when I hear some stories of somebody struggling in the hostel industry. So I'm very scared about what the world will look like post-COVID. And I think it's really important. We mentioned this in our last talk we did a few months back about supporting businesses that you're passionate about and reaching out to them now. Even if you're in America, reach out to your favorite hostel owner, reach out to your favorite tour operator, say that you want to support them and talk to them, because they really need your support now.
Yeah. Here in the States, we also have a lot of people thinking about local regional travel, what's like driving distance. I mean, driving distance for us is different than you guys in Europe. We're like 8 hours. We can do that. Like, 8 hours gets you through like 8 countries in Europe.
Yeah.
Texas itself takes 16 hours to get across. So,
the van life is really taking off. Everybody seems to be taking and spending more time doing up and traveling and having the freedom to travel at their own pace. I've seen so many people convert themselves to the van life. That's a big trend. Nomadism is going to become huge because more and more people have the flexibility to work from home now. So that's actually the flip side of this whole crisis, that more and more people will be traveling as a result of the crisis, because they will have more leisure time to spend and work from the road. So I think that's a good thing we should keep in mind.
Yeah. One thing I want to ask is, you mentioned a lot of people, exploring regions, but do you think traveling Europe, we were just talking about how Prague, is empty. People, when they go back to places, are going to be more likely to, let's go to Prague or Berlin or, Rome or Paris, or let's go out into the countryside or the mountains. And did you see sort of tourism officials or people in the industry sort of trying to disperse people out more?
Yeah.
Because you have iPhone.
Hello, Vanessa. Can you hear me, Matt?
Yeah.
Yep. So yes, one of the big trends that now I find in tourism that's happening is, as a result of COVID, people want to be more socially distant. I find people are very assured if they can travel to places where they're not overcrowded. So the video that I showed with Prague, that was actually a campaign I did with Czech Tourism. And Czech Tourism, instead of sending me to the center of Prague, I took that picture of the center of Prague, but I actually spent most of my time in neighborhoods where mainly locals go, but tourists don't go. So Žižkov, for example, is a working class neighborhood full of mainly middle class. It has the highest concentration of pubs in Czech Republic and in Europe, I believe. And it's a great place that not many tourists go, but it's so good. It's so authentic and real. And the tourism board is now focusing more on places like Žižkov, Karlin, Vinohradry. These are all the kind of satellite neighborhoods where they're trying to drive tourists, because they know in the future it's not sustainable. In a couple of months' time, when tourism comes back in the summer, you go to Charles Bridge and it's packed, and it's not really a great experience. I had American friends who went there in the summer and they hated it, and they couldn't socially distance. So that's a factor that we'll have to take into account.
Yeah, it's definitely not a good experience pre-COVID either. I love Paris, but Paris in August, too many people. I actually filmed a video once in Versailles. So this was probably 9 years ago. And there were so few people in Versailles that I had my friend go to the other side of one of the rooms, that was mic'd up, and there was nobody walking between us because it was just that empty. And now you go to Versailles and it's literally just a slow line of movement, and
it's not fun. I don't know about everybody who's listening in, but I think more days the older I travel, and you're probably the same as me, I like the cooler, unfashionable destinations that people don't know, like Poznan or Katowice or say Leipzig. I find it more fun to discover places that are. Paris is great, don't get me wrong, but I think it's overrated.
So you mentioned hostels struggling, and we talked about this in the past, and given the rise of COVID again, I think in Europe and their new restrictions coming down, I wonder, it's going to be really hard for them with an even worse fall winter season. And so you said you stayed in a couple of hostels, and I would like to know what that experience is like. But you also, before this call, mentioned a new thing called the Hostel Pass, and I would love if you could just give a shout out to that.
So yeah, we can give a shout out to Hostel Pass, definitely. So to tackle COVID, a lot of the hostels, I'm a digital nomad. I hate that term, digital nomad. It sounds so wishy-washy, but I've basically lived and run my business just like you from the road for the last 11 years. And I love hostels because you get community, you get to meet great people, you have the best night of your life, social, and you can work from there. And nowadays hostels are getting better and better at having proper internet, where you have workspaces, co-working spaces where you can work from. So a lot of the hostels now are pivoting to long-term stays where you can stay for a month and you can have your own private room if you want, or you can stay in a dorm. A hostel that I'll mention, which you love, we both love, it's called Good Morning Hostel. So Good Morning Hostel, for example, at the moment are offering 450 euros for a month's stay in a private room. You get your own private room, a dedicated co-working desk. And if you want meals included, they have a chef on premises for 140 euros more. They'll cook your meals. So you get food, lodging, community events, co-working space in a beautiful city in Lisbon, right in the center of town.
I mean, they are right in the center of town. That's pretty awesome. Yeah, I wish I could go to Portugal right now. I would definitely take that over what I pay per month here in New York for lodging and food.
Yeah, why would you?
Austin, sorry, got where I was.
Given the money you pay in New York and cities, with a fraction of that money, you can hit the road, get yourself even a plane ticket, and live in a beautiful part of Lisbon and meet some great people. I think.
And you were saying something about a nomad's pass too.
Yes. So there's a very exciting thing in the works, and I don't know if I'm allowed to say this, but I'm going to tell you guys that there is a new pass in the works, which will work basically just like an Interrail pass, where you can choose from some of your favorite hostels in Europe. It's going to launch initially in Europe, and it's going to be a all-inclusive fee, and you can basically spend 5 days in Lisbon, then hop over to Paris and stay at Le Peolis, which we all know very well. Or you can hop to Berlin and stay at the Circus Hostel, which is my favorite hostel here. So a lot of really great hostels will be offering, be part of this pass. And it's going to be launching soon, I believe. So keep your eyes open. The hostel pass, have a quick look at their website and maybe sign up for their updates. But I believe Matt will have some news for you to share on that soon. So stay tuned. I'm sure Eric and Matt will have some updates on that for you soon, but keep your eyes open for that for next summer.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of hostels move to this digital nomad, work from home. Like, I mean, if you don't have to be in the office, work from wherever. Like Selena has really pushed, Selena in Central America and South America and Mexico is pushing that hard. So do you see that as sort of the future of hostels in Europe? Maybe they're not so much luxury hostels or pure backpacker hostels. They're sort of like a hybrid digital nomad backpacker experience.
I think the beauty of hostels, and maybe I know you'll agree with me this, and many people in the room here listening, is that hostels have always been places that welcome people of all ages, irrespective of your sexuality, of your creed, your class. It's a place where you have no walls. It's a place where everybody feels equal and everybody has a great time. And I think in that sense, the hostel product is a flexible product where it accommodates for digital nomads, it accommodates for people who are creative types. It's a place where you can meet people from all walks of life. And I think this move towards catering towards nomads, I think the future of the way we work will all be more nomadic in our journeys, I think, and we'll all not be fixed spending tons of money on rent for ridiculous small apartments in New York. I believe the future of the human race is that we're going to be more moving around and more getting to know our world instead of being stuck in one place. So I think that's where the hostels have a great opportunity. And already this summer, I've stayed at some of these hostels long term. Stayed at one called, in the long story short, in Olomouc, which is a city I don't know if many of you know, in Czech Republic. It's the 5th city of Czech Republic, beautiful student city. And this hostel is absolutely beautiful. It's stunning. You look at the pictures of this hostel and you wouldn't think it's a hostel. It looks like a 4-star boutique hotel. Long story short, if you guys wanted to know more.
Long story, yeah. Well, I've seen a lot of questions come through. So rather than eat up all the time, I want all your questions to get answered too. But I will have one final question for you. I know you said you can't have a crystal ball, but when things get normal-ish, I should say, do you think Europe's still going to be a hotspot? I say like everyone's going to, like I'm going to be in Paris the second they open it up. But what's your expert predictions for the future?
Expert prediction. I love how you.
You're an expert, man. 11 years. Get a whole book on hostels.
Always learning. But I would say, in my humble opinion, I feel sadly we're going to have to live with this disease for a while, and my co-working space is about to shut, so that's why I got a little note, but it's okay. I can still be here. We're going to be living with this disease for a few more years. So I think we have to learn to live with the disease, but it doesn't necessarily mean we can't travel or we'll stop traveling. I think we have to learn from this experience. I learned a lot, that you have to be more responsible, have more respect to your co-travelers, and if you take all the right precautions, wearing a mask, cleaning your hands, keep your hand sanitizer with you at all times, being socially distant as much as possible, you can still have a great experience and you can still meet people. I've stayed in hostels. It's not the same as before, but I've been at hostels where you're talking with each other, and it's not all doom and gloom. So yeah, I don't know if I answered that question. That was a long rambling answer. Sorry.
No, that's fine. All right, we're gonna bring Erica back, who's been keeping track of all your questions, and she's gonna ask Kash. There's a great lightning round, so to speak. So
Exactly, this is a lightning round. Very informative, Kash, by the way. Thank you.
You don't want to get Kash kicked out or locked in his co-working space.
The lights will turn off. Okay, Lorianne wants to know what passport you're traveling on, Kash.
Good old British passport. I have Indian roots, as you can see, but I have a British passport. I was born in England and lived there till the age of 9, but moved to India when I was 9, learnt the culture, couldn't hack it, went back to Scotland at 18.
Wow, okay. Wonderful. Dana.
Wait, I want to chime in. Do you have German residency?
I'm working on it.
Okay. Just thinking of a post-Brexit world.
Let's not talk about that. Let's not go there.
Dana wants to know, do you think that Europe in general is going back into lockdown or going to go back into lockdown?
I have to be careful here because lockdown is a very serious thing. I think Germany still wants to avoid lockdown, but it is inevitable in some parts of Europe, and already some parts of Europe are facing lockdown. So yeah, it's difficult because Christmas is a big time for tourism businesses, and to be locked down means a lot of tourism businesses will go out of business. So I think they're still weighing it up every minute we speak now. So I won't say anything further than that, but yeah, let's see.
Okay. And then Debbie's wondering, can you travel freely within the EU, or do you need to have a negative COVID test across borders and go into different places?
The short answer on that is that it varies from country to country. So you have to check, every country you go to in advance has their own regulations, whether they, if you're on the safe list of countries or not. I believe that some countries are still safe and open for Americans to visit in Europe. Serbia is one of them, I believe. There's a couple of other countries on that list. Albania, I think so too. Istanbul, Turkey is open for American visitors at the moment still. So you just keep checking. It changes every day. So yeah, unfortunately, there's not one solution for the whole of Europe. I wish there was.
I wish there was too. That would make it a whole lot easier. Jason is wondering, and I think a lot of people after the 2 videos you showed, I noticed that you're a more luxury budget traveler. What's your average daily or monthly all-in budget when you travel through like the more budget-friendly parts of Europe? You can answer this question however you want.
When I'm in Eastern Europe, for example, things get so much cheap. So you could be easily getting by on 20, 30 euros a day. And if you're in Western Europe, Germany, it varies. If you're in Leipzig, it's cheap. You can get by on 50 euros a day. But if you get to Munich, things get expensive and it's about 60, 70. Mm-hmm. If you have a few steins of beer, that's when your budget goes out of hand.
And then do you find that it's actually more expensive to travel in Europe now because you have to take other things into consideration? And obviously, like, you're not necessarily doing all the budget hacks that you can do like when it's not COVID?
No, I think it's still very cheap to travel in Europe. It all depends on what you want out of travel. And Matt preaches and says that travel is not expensive. It just depends on what you want out of it. If you want to do it on a budget, you can go couch surfing, you can stay in the cheapest dorms, you can sleep with friends, you can do house sitting. There's so many ways you can travel for very little. So Europe is in fact cheaper now. I find prices were on average 15 to 20% cheaper than they usually are in the summer. Rates were really low on hostels. I saw rooms for hostels going for as little as €5 in the summer, which is unheard of. But that's how bad things are at the moment. So it's a good time, and it's a bad time, and it's a good time to travel.
Yeah, I was gonna say, it sounds so sad, but also sounds really great to be traveling. So, and then Barbara's asking, as the hosteling king, and I'm gonna put this in a context of before the coronavirus, she wants to know about seniors staying in hostels, and how often you saw people staying in hostels that were sort of not over, but seniors.
Yeah. I'm over 40 now, so I'm officially also in the seniors category nowadays, I believe. I think I've seen so many people. I was in Lisbon just before lockdown happened in March, and I was doing a wine tasting evening at a really cool hostel called the Rodeman, and it was full of, there was a couple in their late 40s. There was a family of 4. The father was probably 65. There was a 21-year-old from London. There was a whole mixture of people from all parts of the world, all doing wine tasting and getting trashed after, and in true hostel style. So yeah, I wouldn't, age is just a number. It's all about your mindset and how you are as a person. That's the most important thing in hostels.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. And can you just list off like 2 or 3 of your most favorite hostels in Europe that are still around that so we could just get those for our future travels?
Gallery Hostel in Porto, which Matt loves, the Circus Hostel in Berlin, the Seven Fells Hostel in Finland. It's in Finnish Lapland. You can see the northern lights from the dorm rooms of the hostel.
Sounds incredible.
That sounds a great way to go to sleep.
Mm-hmm. And then Adam wants to know, how many countries have you traveled to all in all? Do you have your number?
I don't count countries. I'm just like, I need to one day when I'm really bored, if things get really bored and I get really bored, and it's either watching Emily in Paris. I know so I know guys might hate me for saying this, but I know some of you love Emily in Paris. But maybe push comes to shove, I'll have to watch Emily in Paris or Count My Countries. So, but yeah, I heard it's good, so I'll give it a watch.
It will make you like Paris, but I mean, good is.
It's not that good, but it definitely.
You're doing a lot of work in that sentence.
We should do Matt in Paris, or maybe Matt and Kash in Paris. We should do an alternative reality show.
Kash and Matt in Paris. Modern day bosom buddies.
You can be the social media experts. Help on that show with. Okay, that's sort of it for the questions. So I wanted to give you some time to show that last video or some of the photos that you have for the next 5 minutes.
We have a few tickets for Kash and Matt in Paris. I'm telling you.
Yeah. If you want to show a video, and then I just have a little wrap up.
Okay. All right. You want to see a video? Okay. I can show you a video. Dun, 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 dun. Okay. Berlin. Okay. Český Krumlov. Anybody interested in seeing Český Krumlov? Let's see if I can see the video. So you're gonna see my there you go. I didn't have to go far.
We got time for one video.
It's 1 minute 30, man.
Perfect.
Short and sweet. And let me get this going. Okay.
Don't see the video.
What happened?
Okay, well, if you post it, we'll share it in the final update. The last couple of minutes we have.
And I've lost.
Kash, we didn't see it, but we'll share it in the post email. In the last couple of minutes we have, I just want to thank you all for coming. Erica will drop all of Kash's information again into the chat, and we'll send you a follow-up email where you can find Kash and his website and his book, especially his initiative, Adopt a Hostel. We talked about that a few months ago, where you can buy future stays at hostels. So to help them with their immediate cash flow now, to make sure they stay open through these crazy times. And, you know, we'll tell you more about the Nomad Pass and the Hostel Pass when they come out. I'd like to thank Kash. Let's give him a big hand for coming and spending his time here with us. I know you don't want to get kicked out of your hostel. Sorry, co-working space. I don't know if you've ever been kicked out of a hostel. That would probably be a story for some other time. And thank you all for coming. Again, as Erica mentioned in the beginning, you can join us on Patreon for lots of cool stuff. I just shared a story this week of a story behind my Why I'll Never Go Back to Vietnam post. I shared the behind the scenes of what happened, how that article came to be and what happened. So as Erica said, I share lots of personal stuff there. I also share stories I don't tell anywhere. And you get lots of free stuff too in a private Facebook group, and monthly Q&As and talks with me and the rest of the community. Jeff Dean and Stephanie and a couple others here are members of that community. And then, you know, these talks are free. So if you'd like to support us during these times and help us continue to, you know, have the resources to make this go on, you can do a one-time donation for whatever you feel this was worth at nomadicmat.com, or just scan the QR code. And before we sign off for the day, Erica is going to just give you a brief lowdown on some of the upcoming events we have next week.
Perfect. So for those of you who are new or need a reminder, the nomadicnetwork.com/events is where you could find all of our upcoming events. We have anywhere between 1 to 2 dozen events up at a time. Like I said, today we have 2 different happy hours. One is for California people of California and people of DC who love to travel. Now, those are very different events than these. They're more interactive. It's a very small, intimate group, and you guys just get to share travel stories and, reminisce about the good old days and the future of travel and all that sort of stuff. So we also have one in Seattle coming up on the 28th. And then next week, we have the secrets of creating a successful YouTube channel with Eileen and Mark, who have over 80,000 subscribers. And so if you're new to YouTube, or if you have a YouTube channel and you want to up your game, I know I have 97 subscribers at the moment, so I will be taking notes. And then we have one on October 28th, which is crafting pitches and breaking in and breaking through as a blogger. So this is somebody that took in lots of pitches, and she knows from the person that's able to sign off on press trips and stuff what people need to put in their pitches. So Natanya will be sharing with us then. And then it's Halloween, so we're not doing one on Thursday. But yeah, that is what we have. And I would just like to say thank you for being a part of our travel community. And it's just a really great thing that we're able to do here, but it's only really great because you guys show up every time. So it's really awesome that you guys are here, you're participating, you're asking questions, and you're, welcoming our guest speakers with open arms. And it's just a really powerful community that we're creating. So thank you for being part of it. Thank you, Kash, for coming on and sharing your expertise. And thank you, Matt, for leading an awesome Q&A. And thank you, everyone, for showing up, and have a wonderful day, night, wherever you are in the world. Bye.
Thanks, everyone. We'll see you later. Thanks again, Kash.
Thanks, Ben.
Bye, everyone.